The airport was loud in the way airports always are, rolling suitcases. Boarding announcements overlapping each other. People half listening, half rushing, already tired before the journey had even begun. No one noticed him at first. He stood in line like everyone else at mid-30s. Plain jacket, small carry-on bag, nothing expensive, nothing suspicious. The kind of man you'd forget the moment he walked past you. He placed his bag on the conveyor belt, stepped forward, and waited. Then something changed. The X-ray machine paused. Just for a second. A blink most people wouldn't notice. But the officer noticed. He leaned closer to the screen. His jaw tightened. Not dramatically, just enough to matter. He raised his hand. "Hold on," he said quietly. The belt stopped. The line behind him froze. The man looked up, confused but calm. He smiled. Politely, the way travelers do when they assume it's routine. "Is there a problem?" he asked. The officer didn't answer. He pressed a button and spoke softly into his radio. "Secondary check," he said. That was the moment the atmosphere shifted. People behind him began watching. Some pretended not to. Others didn't bother pretending at all. The man stepped aside, still calm, still cooperative. He had done nothing wrong. At least, he believed that. The bag was placed on a metal table. Zippers opened slowly. Deliberately. Not rushed. Not aggressive. Professional. Inside the bag were ordinary things. Clothes. A notebook. A laptop. No liquids. No sharp objects. No banned items. The man relaxed a little. "This happens sometimes," he said lightly. "I travel a lot." The officer finally looked at him. "Did you pack this bag yourself?" he asked. "Yes," the man replied instantly. "Has anyone given you anything to carry?" "No, are you sure?" "Yes." The officer nodded, then asked the next question. It was a simple one, the kind asked thousands of times a day. "Can you explain why this item shows up like this?" The man glanced at the screen. He hesitated. Not because he was hiding something, but because he was thinking. "Well, I mean, it's nothing serious," he said. "I wasn't sure if it would be an issue, but I figured." The officer raised his hand. That small gesture silenced him. Behind them, the security line stopped completely. No one was moving. No one was speaking. Another officer joined them. Then another. The man felt it now. That tight feeling in the chest. That sudden awareness that something was wrong. Deeply wrong. "I can explain," he said quickly. "It's really not what it looks like. I mean, I didn't think." The first officer looked at him steadily. "Sir," he said, calm but firm, "please answer only what is asked." The man nodded. But the damage was already done. At airports, confidence matters more than innocence. And hesitation speaks louder than truth. The officers spoke quietly among themselves, too quietly for him to hear, but loudly enough for everyone to feel the tension. A woman in line checked her phone. A man farther back crossed his arms. Someone whispered, "What happened?" The man stood there, suddenly very aware of how alone he was. He wasn't scared of being arrested. He was scared of not understanding what he had done wrong. Another officer approached with a tablet. "Sir," she said, "we're going to ask you a few more questions." He swallowed. Of course. They asked him about his trip, why he was traveling, who he was meeting, how long he planned to stay. Each question was normal, but the silence between them wasn't. He answered honestly. But now his voice sounded different, tighter, faster. He explained more than necessary, corrected himself mid-sentence, added details no one had asked for, and every extra word made things worse. The officers weren't looking for a criminal. They were looking for consistency. At one point, the man tried to joke. "Guess I shouldn't have skipped coffee this morning," he said with a nervous smile. No one laughed. That was when he realized the airport wasn't noisy anymore. It wasn't actually silent. Planes still moved, announcements still played, but around him, everything had narrowed. This moment, this table, these faces. Finally, the senior officer spoke. "Sir," he said, "you're not in trouble." The man exhaled for the first time in minutes. "But," the officer continued, "the way you answered raised concerns." The man blinked. "I didn't lie," he said quickly. "We know," the officer replied. That answer confused him more than anything else. The officer explained calmly. "At airport security, we don't just check bags, we check behavior, tone, timing." He paused. When someone hesitates, over-explains, or changes wording, it triggers alerts. Not because they're guilty, but because uncertainty creates risk. The man listened, embarrassed now more than afraid. You didn't break any rules, the officer said, but your words created doubt. They closed the bag, placed it back on the belt. You're free to go, the officer said. The line began moving again. People looked away, pretending nothing had happened, but the man felt different as he walked toward his gate. He replayed the moment again and again. The question, the hesitation, the extra sentence he didn't need to say. He made his flight. He reached his destination. But weeks later, when someone asked him about travel tips, he said only one thing. At airports, silence is safer than explanation, and confidence is louder than truth. And that's why people get stopped. Not because they're guilty, not because they broke rules, but because sometimes one wrong sentence is enough to make an entire airport go quiet.